Hello and welcome to Empower, the program that spotlights women who are trailblazers, innovators, and change makers. Women who are extraordinary and shaping our world with their courage, resilience, and their achievement. I am your host, Sharon Ajay. Today on our program, we shine the spotlight on a remarkable woman whose work bridges the gap between advocacy, leadership, and social impact. She's a force for change, a voice for the voiceless, and a builder of opportunities for young people, especially girls, from championing gender equality to promoting mental health awareness, from influencing policies to empowering survivors of gender-based violence. Our journey reflects a deep commitment to creating a fairer, safer, and more inclusive world. Our efforts have touched thousands of lives, inspired hope, and unlocked potentials in places where it once seemed impossible. She stands as a reminder that leadership is not about titles, but about service, and that every action taken in the fight for justice and equity counts. Where today we explore her story, her mission, and the lessons she's learned along the way. We'll be going on a short break now, and when we return, we would be unveiling our spotlighted guest. So stay with us. Well, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is Empower. On today's episode, we spotlight Nnyen Adomi. She's a distinguished social entrepreneur, psychologist, and girls' rights activist with a commendable track record for over 5 years in facilitating opportunities for girls and young people. She's currently the Legislative and Human Rights Liaison Officer, House Committee on Environment, National Assembly, Abuja, Nigeria. She's also the founder of Safe Space Counseling Center and the coordinator for Young Women in Politics Forum, FCT chapter. Well, that's an amazing portfolio I say you have there.
Thank you.
We are really grateful that you are with us on Empower today.
I'm excited
we
to
can't
be here.
wait to hear your story on how you've achieved great heights. Well, as a girls' rights activist, we would like to hear the story. What was the inspiring factor behind you being a girls' rights activist, and what prompted you to want to, be an activist towards the girl child?
Thank you so much, Sharon, for having me. I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to let the world hear my story. I'm excited. Well, I'd love to say that I don't think there's one moment in my life that I decided to become an activist. There are several moments that even when I feel like maybe I shouldn't be doing this, that experience just reminds me, no, you have to do this because the world needs to understand that women deserves a space in leadership, a space in governance, a space at the top, generally speaking. But if I must go far back as maybe how the journey started, I would remember one particular experience in primary school. I love sharing this story because it's so funny.
Okay.
I was in primary school. I was going to contest for, I can use the word contest, but we're going to get an elected class rep. No, it was called head boy and head girls.
Yeah.
I remember. So the teacher said a boy should be the head boy and a girl should be the head girl. So I was wondering, like, why can't a girl be the head girl?
Okay, so the girl should assist the boy. The boy should be the head.
Yes, okay. And the person that was, quote unquote, the most brightest or the most outspoken boy that automatically they wanted to be the head boy. I was better than him. Like he was even a bit more shy. I was more confident. I was more bold than him. So I was like, I should be the one heading him, not him. So my teacher was like, I can never forget Auntie Rose. She was like, are you crazy? Something wrong with you. You're not supposed to be in charge. You're supposed to be the assistant. Wow. So I kept wondering why. I went back home that day and I was very curious. Children are always curious. So I met my mom and I'm like, Mommy, of course the elections happened when I was the assistant head girl. He was the assistant, he was the head boy. But I was not satisfied. So I went home and I asked my mom, why couldn't I be? My mom was like, no, the girl is always the one assisting the boy. I was like, why? I understand that you guys are all saying this, but the why is what I wanted to know, and nobody could give me the why. I asked my dad, he couldn't give me the why. I asked my other sister, she couldn't give me the why. And then I decided that I was going to find out why a girl had to always assist the boy as far back as primary school. And I love to say the rest is history, because secondary school, university days, I always just found myself trying to answer that question. Why? Why should the women always be the one assisting and not the one leading? And nobody till date have been able to give me a perfect answer as to why women should always be assisting and not leading. So of course, I am constantly also trying to advocate to show the world that there's no reason why a woman should not lead. There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason, because as far back as primary school till date, nobody has been able to answer a good reason. I mean, they try. They come up with different excuses. Some even try to use or portray one woman, quote unquote, disability on the rest of the other women. Oh, this woman failed in this place. Oh, this woman did not do well here. That's why women should not be the one leading. And I'm like, okay, so how about men? We never say, oh, because this man failed, men should not lead. So I found myself always advocating for the right of women, whether it has to do with leadership, so sexual and gender-based violence. I just believe that women have a lot to offer the world and should be given opportunities always to showcase their talent before being judged by their gender.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a really nice story, I would say. Would you say this story was also what led you to create the Safe Space, center? Or is there another story behind? Because they are actually two different things.
Yes,
that's the mental advocate, center, and of course it's two different things. In as much as they can be linked,
they are connected actually. Yeah. So when I started She Matters Foundation in 2018, let me just tell the story. So when I started She Matters Foundation in 2018, one of our key focus then still was raising awareness on sexual and gender-based violence, from physical abuse, emotional abuse, to neglect, to sexual abuse. I met a couple of persons, different women who have been abused and who needed psychological support, right? I also discovered that most of our mothers, our elder sisters, our big sisters, our aunties have also experienced one form of abuse. I mean, research literally says out of 3 girls, 1 person has been abused. So that's how common. So if there are 3 girls in this room, one of us, if we have a conversation, most likely 1 person has experienced it. So as a psychologist in that line of field, I realized that while we're advocating for women to be empowered, women to be liberated, quote unquote, I realized that women needed psychological support because a lot of them have been abused from a very young age, and it has affected how they even see themselves and how they move forward. So you can't be advocating and saying women should lead while the women are emotionally damaged and don't even have the voice to speak out because of the lies the society has told them. So She Matters Foundation decided to start a social enterprise under it that will now provide this psychosocial support to young people and women that we find that are dealing with all these forms of mental health issue. But a personal experience as to why I went into study psychology in 2000 and I don't remember the year right now, but I lost someone to suicide.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I lost someone to suicide, and it was at that moment. I mean, I always knew that my work, I discovered purpose quite early in life, 16 years. In fact, I was having a conversation with someone today, and we're talking about how long we've been doing the things we do. And I realized it's been 15 years.
Wow.
Yes. So at 16 years, I mean, I'm telling you of primary school. So, but at 16 years, I already knew the things that I was going to be doing. I started actively doing it. I joined the debate club. I joined leadership clubs in the university. So I already started projecting myself to be an advocate, to be an activist, to speak up for the rights of young people, for the rights of women. And so, but in the middle of all that journey of speaking up, I lost someone to suicide. And this person was a super happy person, someone who was always smiling, someone who was always cheerful. In fact, few days before this person passed, the person literally distributed things to people, gave out money, clothes. I mean, nobody knew that was goodbyes anyway. But that person's death made me realize that there is no advocacy without ensuring that the people you're advocating for are mentally okay. So I had to go and study psychology in the university. So yeah.
That's the next question I'm about to ask you, I guess you've even answered it, because over the years, She Matters Foundation has impacted over 3,000 lives. And I want to believe that, within those period of the foundation working and all of that, you've come across a lot of inspiring stories that are really emotional and sad, just like you said about this suicide. And that's why I said the question you most likely have answered. But are there any other, emotional and touching story that you've come across in the process of the She Matters Foundation?
Oh, yes. So there's one particular young girl who I love to share her story because it's so inspiring. Okay. The last time I saw, let me know. I was about to jump, but let me not jump. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. I met her in 2018. I went to a school with my team members. I think that was probably one of our first advocacy in schools. We went to the principal, we did our advocacy, talked about how they can incorporate psychosocial support in schools for young girls and ensure that girls are not being abused. So finally, when we're done with every other activity with teachers, we finally went to the students, And then after we finished our presentation, we had someone talk about drug abuse, we had someone talk about leadership, and then I spoke about sexual and gender-based violence. Okay. When I was done speaking, a girl walked up to me and said, I am living in an abusive home. My mom is married for the second time, and my stepdad is sexually abusing me. I have done 3 abortions for him.
In Nigeria?
Yes, Akwa Ibom State.
My goodness.
Yes. Akwa Ibom State. And she said, I've done 3 abortions for him. My mom cannot leave. She's too scared. She doesn't know how she's going to get resources to feed us. So she's stuck in this marriage and it's affecting me. What am I going to do? So of course we started trying to get out of there, went to the principal. We don't stay in that city. So it was difficult because we're leaving. But we got contact to the women leader, youth leader. We tried to make a lot of contacts so that even when we're not there, we are making sure that someone is following up. Well, I'm glad that the women leader intervened. She was able to carry women. She was so touched by the story. Carry women to the man's house. They did a lot of drama to shame the girl's mom first, and of course the stepdad. And then someone volunteered to adopt her. She's currently, this was her in SS1 or so. She's done with secondary school. Of course, we are still supporting her till today. She has become, sometimes I used to ask myself, how did I adopt a daughter without knowing I adopted a daughter? Because till today she still calls and says, I need money for this because you took her out from her parents' home. Yeah. It's a good thing, but you can't just abandon her in the street. So, but she's done with secondary school. She's in the university right now. The last conversation we had, I went to Akwa Ibom for something, so I had to look for her. And I was so inspired. This little girl was telling me the things she is doing. And I'm like, I started feeling like I'm not doing enough.
I know, you should feel like the proud mother because you brought her into that.
She was telling me how the things she sees me doing, she's now going to schools. In fact, yesterday she tweeted and she was like, she missed her children. There's a school she goes to talk about her story, tries to help these children. And she's very young and she's already calling them my children. I'm like, I'm a grandmother. But her story is still one of the most inspiring because it still continues. It hasn't ended yet. I cannot wait to see what that girl becomes because she started businesses. So there's hardly a time she even costs some money because she's selling food stuff. In fact, she started a new business where she runs a market runs for people who don't want to go to the market. She's so hardworking. And that is a girl whose destiny someone was about to destroy if we did not take her out from that space. For me, that's still one of my most inspiring stories because, like I said, it's still happening. The story has not ended. Yeah. We're still yet to see the end of her because she's doing amazing.
That's really nice. You see, while you were telling the story, I could see some emotional, side of you coming out, and it's beautiful, but it can also pose as a challenge. And that brings me to my next question: how are you? Because I believe that you get to see this every single time. Yeah. Not only the story, this might be one of the most inspiring of them all, but you get to see quite often more stories as this. How are you able to, balance this with your own mental health and emotional health? Because believe it or not, I'm not a gender-based violence advocate, but when I get to hear stories like this, I become so emotionally, down and all of that. Now, for somebody like you that see this over and over again, please tell me how you're able to balance. If you're interested, tell us about it.
I think it helps that I'm a psychologist. It helps that I'm already a professional in that field. So I understand the importance of self-care. I've had stories of women who have died. I've been stories of women who were trying to get out of their husband's house because the husband was literally killing them. And just before they had the bonus to leave, they had a fight and he died. She died rather. Most of these men, thank God they've been convicted and all that. But it is really painful that you were not able to help that woman out of that space because she kept procrastinating. I'll leave. And then, so I've had all manner of stories. I've lost people. I've had people who are completely in pain or have scars that it would take years to heal. For me, like I said from the beginning, it helps that I'm a professional. I'm a psychologist, right?
Yeah.
So I don't joke with self-care. Includes journaling, includes therapy. I have a therapist myself. I do therapy as
needed.
often. Before I came into the studio, while sitting down outside waiting, my therapist sent me a message like, "Are you okay? We haven't had any session in a while." I said, "Don't worry, I'm in a very good place right now, so don't bother. If I need you, I'll call you." But I have a therapist on standby. I have people that are my safe space, people that I have these conversations with, especially people in our line of work. And it helps when there's a support system.
Definitely.
That's one thing that I appreciate most recently is meeting with a network of people who are in the same space that I'm in and we are constantly checking on each other, right?
Yeah.
So we have experiences we share with each other. I journal a lot. I do sports. I do exercise. Forget that I'm a little not fit because I've eaten a lot at home. But I do exercise because I understand the importance of exercise too. I just do little things like journaling, talking to someone, but most importantly, I go for therapy. I'm not
Very
even going to
important.
lie. Very important because you always need that professional to tell you, okay, maybe you should manage this, maybe you should manage this. And I prioritize myself. It's difficult to say. A lot of people don't like to hear it, but I prioritize myself. I'm not a savior. I'm not God. I am only here to advocate for people. So I don't play God in people's lives. So I know my boundaries. I know when to stop. I know when to let another person to take and guess what? It gets better. In 2020, during COVID-19, when people were locked home, that's when we had the highest number of cases, both mental health cases and sexual abuse cases. That was my most mentally unstable year. I was in and out of depression because of the cases, and that's when we lost some persons because of the cases I was hearing. And that's when I understood that so even me, I can break down.
Yes.
So from that year till now, I mean, this is almost 5 years. I now know when to stop and when to continue.
I would say it's relaxing to know that you are prioritizing yourself.
Very important.
Because the more you stay active, the more we have more cases that will be resolved. Well, we'll be going on a short break now. A lot has been said. And when we return, we have more questions for our spotlighted lady to answer. So stay with us. Welcome back. This is Empower. If you don't know, Adomi is not just an advocate for gender-based violence. She's also a politician, I must say. She's a politician. So let's talk about your leadership side. You coordinate the Young Women in Politics Forum. And of course, I love the fact that it's young women. So I want to definitely all of them, they are women. And it's so nice to hear because, of course, before now, you don't get to see women in politics. I would like you to share what are the barriers that are hindering women? Because, of course, you've come across a lot of them, a lot of politicians like yourself. What are the barriers hindering women from entering not just into leadership, but political leadership?
Okay, so I think that there are a lot of barriers, but on the top of my head, one would usually be that stereotype. There's a lot of stereotype, there's a lot of bias against women, especially in our country, Nigeria. You hear things like a woman cannot lead, a woman should not be in politics, a woman's place is in her father's. I mean, it's so annoying that in 2025 we still have men that are so confident and saying that women have no business in leadership. So in a country that 41% of the population, or is it 49? I'm missing it right now, are women. You are saying that that's more than half of the population are women.
Yeah.
You're saying that the men should be the ones only taking decisions for them. It makes no sense. So those stereotypes, those cultural biases, religion, they are religion that don't allow women to portray themselves in public light, right? So we still have a lot of that. And then also we have financial reasons. A lot of women are not financially empowered. A lot of women are made to, I feel like we have two categories of women in Nigeria, right? The ones that are constantly staying at home and doing nothing. their husbands have decided that, or their family members have decided that they will provide for them, they don't need to provide for themselves. And then we have the other ones that are, okay, maybe not 2 categories, maybe 3. We have the other ones that are hardworking, but are carrying the responsibilities for the family. A lot of them, to surprise you, that a lot of women in Nigeria are the ones providing for their families, for their homes. So we have those categories of women that even when they have the resources, they cannot use it for themselves or for politics, because they have to take care of their children, they have to feed their children and all of that. Of course, the ones that are maybe have the resources and then they don't allow them, their family members or their husbands, their fathers will limit them and say, no, you have no business in politics. It's a toxic space. You shouldn't be there. It's too tough for you. So we have a lot of that. And that is why I'm very excited that in a time like this, and I'm excited that I'm one of the voices that is advocating for the special seats bill for women.
Yes.
Right now, we are saying women need extra seats in the National Assembly. In all the houses, actually, State House, House of Reps, Senate, women need those extra seats reserved for them. Those seats are supposed to be only for women, right? So that regardless of whatever the election outcome is, we are sure that there will be women representing us in the House. So again, I'm excited. If that bill goes through, I'll just relax.
And I see a lot. I see what you people are doing. Like the publicity of that. It's really, as a woman, it keeps a smile on my face.
It's for you, really, because it means that you can now contest and your opponent to be a fellow woman. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. At the end of the day, we have a woman going to represent us, right? And I love what the speaker, the Speaker of the House is doing. He is part of the people advocating for the bill. And again, like I said, it's really a beautiful time to live in, right? Because if that bill passes through, some of the work that we are doing is the reason. Some people used to tell me, why are you doing women in leadership? You're doing mental health. Don't you think you're doing a lot? I said this because women in leadership is the reason why a lot of other things are not going. If we have women in the House that would insist that there should be bills that will protect women, or the implementation of this bill, things like gender-based violence will reduce.
Yes.
So you see that they are all connected. The more you have women at the top, the more the issues that surround women will reduce, because they will speak up, because they understand this is their matter, is their issue. They know where the conversation is coming from, because they know, they said the person who wears the shoe is who knows how it's pinching him. So they're all connected.
Wow. Well, that's who you are. As a change maker in the women's world, if you are privileged to change just one policy, because I know you have a lot to change. Really, you have a lot to change. But if you have an opportunity to just change one policy in regards to, for the benefit of young girls and women, what would that policy be in Nigeria?
I think right now it needs to be the extra seat bill. I would advocate that women should have special seats in the National Assembly, in the State House of Assembly. With that bill is just going to mean that more women are represented there. And I feel like if we have more voices there, then every other thing can be solved. We can now do policies that will protect women for sexual and gender-based violence. But the first thing and the most important thing is that we need women at the top, so that we can now project every other thing. I feel like if we have them there, the rest of issues will be solved so easily.
And I hope I'm with you 100%. And I hope that bill eventually gets passed.
Fingers crossed.
Well, one more thing before we wrap up the section. To girls that are disadvantaged, because there is one thing to be advantaged and to have access to spaces like the one you own. For those that are disadvantaged, and it just feels like no matter what happens, it just seems like there is nobody coming through for me. I don't have the opportunity to be in, safe spaces, or to attend foundations where I get enlightened and all of that. What word would you have for them? What word would you say to them if they are watching us right now?
Okay, so I think that it's almost impossible to say you completely don't have access to spaces. Okay. If for any reason you find yourself where you don't have access to spaces where you can have a support group, your fellow sisters who would hold your hands when you are down, create one. Be that change. If you are, for any reason, again, anywhere you can have those kind of spaces, be the one to start a change. Say, hey guys, I'm starting a support group for women, or I am starting this kind of advocacy. Be the one to start it. But by all means, ensure that you are not alone. Because in a world where there's a lot of bias, a lot of discrimination, I think that's the word, against women, you need your sisters. you need your sisters to hold your hands. And like I said earlier, that's been one of my greatest benefits, especially in Abuja. One of my greatest benefits, especially in Abuja, because when I came into this city from Cross River State, I had no idea where I was going to start from. But then I had women like Priye Diri, women like Dorothy Njamanze, women like Barrister Iberi Fendu, women like Faith Waziri. The list can just keep going on and on. These are people who I now have as a support system. So if they did not start what they are doing, I'm not sure I would have had the opportunity. So again, if you're around a space where there's no support system for you, be that support system that other persons can depend on. And eventually, every other person is going to be a part of it. But do not let your voice go down. A lot of times, women feel like, well, I tried. I spoke. They told me to shut up. Nobody can tell you to shut up. You have your mouth, you have your voice.
Yeah.
It's better for you to keep speaking and speaking until they recognize you. At some point, when they see you coming, in fact, get to a point where when you walk into a room, they already know what you're going to say. That's how much you have taken and personalized the work that you do. It may not be an NGO. It doesn't have to be an NGO. You don't need to start an NGO. You just need to ensure that you understand that your voice is important and you will not keep quiet for any reason. But shine, girl, shine.
Shine, girl, shine.
Don't let them dim your light. Shine.
Definitely.
Shine.
Please shine, because I'm also going to shine in my own corner.
Yeah.
You should also shine.
Yeah.
You should also shine.
Yeah.
If you are a girl out there, lend your voice.
Yeah.
People are ready to listen to you.
Yeah.
Well, a quick one. There's a UN report, an United Nations report that highlights that women globally experience mental health challenges at higher rates than men. And often this thing is, it's linked to factors like socioeconomic status, gender-based violence, societal expectations. And this report emphasized the need for targeted interventions and support for women's mental health, especially those in, marginalized group. Now, as a woman who is an advocate in raising awareness about mental health, especially, mental health in regards to women and girls, how do you feel about this? And what solutions, could be one or two solutions, do you think can provide to this kind of situation?
Well, I like to say that as much as possible, awareness must be created.
Yeah.
That is usually the first place. A lot of people and a lot of reasons why women, young girls, even young boys too, to be sincere, are going through some mental health challenges because they are not even aware. So I have taken it upon myself as an individual. Right now on my social media, if you go online and check me out, you hear me dropping content literally every day about one mental health issue so that people can know what is going on out there. First thing first is the awareness, right? And then secondly, for us to, while raising awareness, to say, hey guys, this is a mental health challenge. This is how it starts. This is what you can do. We should also say, hey guys, don't stigmatize them. One of the reasons why people don't speak up when they are going through mental health issues because of stigma. So you hear things like, so you have a therapist. That means you're a mad person. There are still people who think that mental health, the word mental health means you are crazy. That's not what it means. Mental health is simply the way you act, the way you think, the way you behave, just like you have physical health.
Yeah.
That's how you have a mental health. It's not, of course, there is a good mental health and a bad mental health. That means you have not taken care of your own and it goes south, literally. But everyone has a mental health. I have mental health. You have mental health. It depends on how we take care of it. So awareness creation and then ensuring that there are policies in the country that addresses mental health support. Policies like establishing mental health facilities that are affordable. Mental health service in Nigeria is not cheap. I'm a psychologist and I'm telling you that it's not cheap. There are people who are dealing with drug abuse and before they can get treatment, they need to raise at least ₦1 million to get treatment a month. That's not in the whole treatment, just 1 month. So the government needs to prioritize it, increase the budget on mental health, increase treatment, increase training for professionals, and ensure that these services are available. I think that at this point in our country, mental health services should be in primary healthcare level. That means you should come down to the communities where anybody can access it. It doesn't even have to be in the hospital. You should come down to community level where anybody can access this. So when we create awareness and we ensure that these services are available, and then of course there's no stigma, people are not being stigmatized because they're accessing these services, then we know we are making a lot of progress.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Adomi. Thank you. Your story is truly inspiring and empowering. And we love what you do. As a woman, I will tell you, a woman in media, I will tell you, we love what you do. Please keep doing this. And we believe that it will keep getting to the right channel. Thank you so much once again. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. This is Empower. I am your host, Sharon Ajay. Until next time, stay empowered. Keep celebrating women who are changing the world. See you next time.